Welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Shop. Jim McCleary, and we talk about what is in my drawers because old guys are like the worst pack rats. And you've caught me trying to do something here, and it's not working, so we got to go back and do it the other way. There we go. Now it's working. Alrighty, so we got to start off with all the things that we done. I want to talk about we've done quite a few fittings this week, and one of them that was very memorable was for an 82-year-old ex-Army Ranger. 82 years old, guys, and still getting it out there. He was hitting it. You know, he's not going to be bombing it out there with the young guns, but for 82 years old, he was still throwing it out there pretty decent as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that he could still get going, he's talking about jumping out of airplanes and all kinds of other stuff, getting his education. The man's lived a full life. So it was a real pleasure to be able to help fit that individual. And we had all kinds. We've from really good golfers to 82-year-old golfers. So it was pretty good. Some of the things we've seen, I've put it out on Instagram. I've been doing, if you go to the Instagram, and we do basically that, and you follow us on that Instagram spot, that you'll see some of the reels, and the reels are some of what I've been doing is they're like little 15-second snippets of the clubs that we've been making, modifying, repairing, moving out, the whole 9 yards. So you should be able to see some of that. However, what I'm currently working on is that. You can't even see it, can you? There we go. T200 black. Why? I don't know. But this is also part of that set as well. So I believe the guy cobbled together a set. Either that or just got tired of looking at a black golf club. And we're taking out all the shafts that were in there and putting in the AMT whites, and that went pretty good. I was really happy about that. That actually went pretty good. The other one that you're going to see that we did when we talked about the PXGs, that is going to be the video for tomorrow. And yes, it will be out there tomorrow. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, my time. So if you would take a look at it and enjoy. And as bringing that up for this particular one, like and subscribe if you would. We're only, I don't know, 30 or 40 away from 20,000. That would be a lot of fun to get to 20,000 by the end of the month. So anyway, that's where we're at with that one. Again, we're selling the aprons and the tour towels, and get a hold of Mrs. McGolf if you would like to get in on some of that. She will take care of you as far as the shipping goes. It's really weird going across the borders, how the differences are. It's really kind of different. Alrighty, so Zurich Classic, which was like a two-man best ball, two-man alternating shot, and Mark Leishman and Cameron Smith won. Now I got to hear the playoff. It was almost sounded like who wanted to win less, and because they won with a par on that par 5, and it was just a myriad of mistakes basically against Schwartzel and Oosthuizen, and but they both finished, so they both get commended, both at -20, and so that was really, really cool. And the funny part was I was listening to the PGA radio on XM, and they said, well, did you see because you had Aussies at the top, and they said, well, who won the bottom? And he said, just flip it over. So Piercy and Chalmers were the very last guys to make it in. They shot a +10, coming in at -1, and as I understand, they were doing very good the first 3 rounds, only for them to shoot an 82. Now, oh my gosh. So they shot an 82. and that's what took them out of the contention. So we had that, and so good for them. Oh, we want to check one more thing. Let's see. See what that is. Corn Ferry, European, LPGA. Here we go. LPGA, I'm not even going to say it, the Primera LA Open. All right, Primera LA Open. Brooke Henderson came away at -16, and Jessica Korda at -15. So congratulations to her as well. Okay. Woo. So topic, I got one more for you, and this is a good one. The topic is tools, at least for the moment. And you ever get one of those things where you just like, man, you got this tool, and although it very may not be golf club related, but how about that? Huh? And things like, I just think it needs to, the thing looks like it would shoot T-shirts. But it works really well. So it is a tool, and we do use it around here. We just got it yesterday, and got it charged up, and the thing works very, very well. And so I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but it was kind of fun to walk around and make all the particles fly. So that was pretty good. Alrighty. So kind of a state of the union as far as the golf industry goes. There's a lot of shortage going on out there. If you guys haven't noticed, Golf Pride, a lot of golf grips, not just Golf Pride, but I say them because they're the largest, are having troubles getting supplies into the U.S. Now we've been dealing with shaft manufacturers, and some of those guys are starting to struggle as well. OEMs and more of the Japanese varieties, those guys are struggling. Who used to really have very, very short times, 2 and 3 days, are now out into 4 to 6 weeks, and it's just because of availability of stuff. So get your orders in quick, I guess, as they say it, if your guys are looking for something. And don't be surprised if they don't tell you end of next month, because that's what we're getting told on a lot of cases now, just so you know. Alrighty, so let's go to the top. All right, we got one here already. Jim, how do you save a Toulon Stroke Lab grip? You can't buy the grips. I want to cut it to 34 inches. What butt weight do I need to add? Thanks, Chris. Well, Chris, it depends on the type of Stroke Lab grip. There are many, many kinds. There's two methods of removing a grip. One is by air, where you put a needle into the back of the grip and you slowly blow it up, and you basically create this cushion of air around it and slowly pull it off as you create air. On the Super Stroke like Toulon grips, though, you have to be careful because, well, a lot of them have that underlisting, and sometimes they'll bust through. Another way of doing it is with a needle gun, and basically it's a reservoir with a handle and a needle sticking out, and you inject that into the back end of the grip, and you put your finger over it, and you basically do the same thing, only with liquid, and you can do that. Now, there's another method that I've never had any success with, and I think it's a patience issue, but what you do is there's a V-shaped rod. It looks like this, and it's about this long, and what you would do is you would kind of sneak it in underneath the grip, and then you would pour some solvent in there and kind of work it around and stick it a little further, work it around, solvent in there, work it around, that kind of stuff. Some folks have had all kinds of success with it, and they must have the way to do it. I do not. And so that's one of those I just don't recommend, just because it didn't work for me. Doesn't mean it might not work for you. It's just not proven for me. But that's how I would take them. That's how you take them off. Now, I don't know if you could get to customer service and ask for one, Chris, or go into the Toulon garage and just order one. I'm not sure about that. in order to get one. Now, to go from 35 to 34, in the back of that stroke lab is a weight, and that weight doesn't change too much. So you got to be able to pull out that weight. If it's an older stroke lab, it's most likely glued in. Okay, and what you're going to have to do is just slightly heat it up, because whatever they use is very heat sensitive, and you can heat it up, and you're going to have to grab it with a pair of pliers and pull it out. That's tough, because the top of what's sticking out can't be more than a 1/16. What I've done in the past is there's a little bitty hole in the back in a lot of them, and what I'll do is I'll run a set screw or a machine screw in there, just enough to grab it, and then I'll pull on that and it pulls out. And I've done that. Depending on how much I can cut off, in the last two I've done, I know this because I just did it, but I've cut off about 1.5 inches, and I heated it up and I put it in a vise and I just knocked it out. And then I turn around and use that same gluey stuff. I got it warm, and then I shoved it in there. That's one. Another one is it's got 2 O-rings, and it's more of a friction fit, and you just basically grab it and you got to pull it out. And then what I do is I put a little bit of a grip solvent, or you can put a little bit of Vaseline on it, and you just punch it in there and you tap it in there with that. So I hope I got all that answered for you. Mr. Bartholomew, how you doing, buddy? There's one more left. One more left. No rounds. Crap weather. Too bad for you. What? Crap weather? Well, it was kind of cold, yeah. All right. Why are most of the new wedges not forged? Well, Matt, good question yet again. The thing is, most wedges weren't forged to begin with. Therein lies the thing. I think somewhere along the lines that there was a pretense for people having forged irons went into the forged wedges as well. And it's not to say that there's not some out there. There are some out there. Mira makes them, and that is a very specific, very boutique-like brand. But all the ones that everybody thought were forged are not. And that would have been the Vokeys, the Clevelands, even the Mac Daddies. Now, it's not to say they don't make a forged model, but most of the most popular brands are not. And why is that? And what they'll tell you is it's a consistency issue. And they want them all to feel the same, instead of having just some of the, they're just like Mr. Brigandy said it the best, is that you'll have one guy having a really good day and doing really well, and then the next day maybe not so much, but that grind is something that the people like, and only he does it. Well, if they can copy that in a casting process, then they're better off for it, because then it's not streaky. Some will say, well, it's a better feel. I'd probably challenge you on that one, whether or not, if I gave you one of each, that you could tell the difference, to be sure. If you're truly looking for forged wedges, you'll be surprised in that one of the better ones, and in my opinion, again, one of the better ones is Wilson. Wilson's staff model is very, very nice. And I'm carrying a few. Very traditional, very high bounce, very nice in that respect, in that it's got a good feel, it's got a good look, it's a kind of a gray, it's not shiny. It does that. The other one is Mizuno. And Mizuno has a hold on just one second. Daggone it. There we go. So there, even got Verbo on there. How about that? So anyway, the other one is Mizuno, and Mizuno's is the T20. A little more traditional looking, but it has a larger flare on the bottom. And then it has a, I believe the grooves are pressed. They're not milled in much like the Wilsons are. But the other ones are all of a softer metal. They get milled in there. They're really nice. So as long as it's the right length and lie, and then you get the right sole grind for the way that you play, you're really going to enjoy it no matter if it's forged or if it's cast. Hopefully I didn't bust too many bubbles. There's Mr. Aaron. How are you, sir? There's me in the background talking about getting an apron if you're interested. I just saw that. No, there wasn't, Charles. Good is good. And Mrs. McGolf made me sit down on many a happy hour, and that's what we used. Sir, what's up, bud? Joe Broderick. Out in the range listening to the show. Got to go to Norfolk and Fort Myers this week. Joe, Norfolk, huh? And then Fort Myers. Well, hopefully they let you stay down there for a couple of days. Holy cow, wouldn't that be great? I know typically that doesn't happen, but hey. All righty, what do we got here? Shake a boop. All right. Hi there. I wonder if there are still taper tip shafts on the market. It is way easier and convenient to build a club with parallel. What's the advantage for a player or a manufacturer? Well, okay. Well, actually, in discussions with the guys from Acra, which is True Sports, which is True Temper, that by far and away, taper tip clubs are used in many builds. Now, why would that be? That's a good question, in that it might be just for the ease. Now, I say that with a drop of, we got to keep attention to what's going on. And what does that mean? Well, when you build with taper tips were initially out there because there was a constant weight flavor, because they all weighed about the same, and they do. So if you got that made, that was a philosophy that they're all the same weight, so they're all going to feel great, they're all going to work the same, all this other things. Except for they made these shafts about 1 inch to 1.5 inches longer so they could cut it for taller guys. And so if you're cutting them all off, they're not all going to be the exact same weight that you thought you were getting. They will all be the same weight, but less. Now, if constant weight is what you're looking for, then okay, it worked out until they weren't constant weight. Now, in the past, what they've done is that at the tall end, they were more flexible, and at the short end, they were much more stiff because you were applying more stuff in a shorter length of area. A couple of the companies have figured it out, and it works out really, and some of them do very, very well. So if you're in a manufacturing process and you get these things in discrete lengths, all you have to do is prep the tip, shove it together, cut it down, move it on. Prep the tip, put a ferrule on it, shove it together, cut it off, move it on. Doompa 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 doom, right? And that's all day, right? Now, you get to parallel tip, which allows frequency matching, a little bit more weight sorting because they're all the same. But now you have to find that frequency. It takes a little bit more time. Now, if you do enough of these, data would probably, pan out that if you cut this, and this at these lengths, that the largest percentage of the time, you're going to get what you're looking for. That takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of research, that kind of stuff, and then you've got it. But now it's cut it, braid it, shove it together, cut it to length, go on. So you've added another step. If you add another step and you're making 1 million clubs, that's 1 million steps. And that's a lot of steps. So they probably don't want to do that. And other than that, right? As far as advantage, there'll be people talk, oh, it's different feel. Maybe. But as a whole, it would be my opinion that parallel tip gives the club builder a little bit more flexibility to ensure that you get a consistent set. Now, the taper tip, if you get a good taper tip set, you can still get away with it and put them in there and be really, really close and maybe well within your ranges if you have a pretty decent range. But that's where it's at. So in the history would show that constant weighted taper tip shafts were for the better player for feel, where the parallel tip ones were also worked, but they didn't have that, they didn't feel as in the same as the other ones. And that very well may be. Personally, I think it's more from a manufacturing tolerance than it is anything else. And when you've done tens of millions of these things, you tend to get enough data that you can get pretty consistent. It's just unfortunate that sometimes you're not. Duke, 66, swing speed 83.93. What would be a good shaft for me? Angle of attack is up. That's very nice. Trajectory 13 degrees. Man, you're all over it, dude. Looking for a new shaft for more center contact hits. Well, 83 to 93 is a fairly large range. When I look at numbers in particular, 90 is kind of with a driver is the beginning of the regular range for me. Now, if you're an aggressive pull down kind of guy or a very late releaser, then I would tend to fail more towards the regular. If you're a smoother swinger, maybe not nearly as late of a release, then I would tend to go with the A-Flex, okay, or the 3.0. And maybe just even a little bit lighter too. And that could also help you out. Now, there are plenty of good shafts out there, right? Number one, my first recommendation would be Acra and the new FX 3.0. If you wanted to hit a much higher ball flight, then they have the blue, which hits higher, but now they have, it used to be the red, but now it's the green because they changed colors. And the green is more of the average ball flight, and it still has some lightweight shafts in it. And then there's what would be now the red, and that's for the very penetrating, but they don't get very light. So it depends on what you want for that. Now, if I was going to go outside of that realm, the KBS has a TD shaft, but bang for buck, unless you know what you're doing, or unless you know exactly what it is, I don't know. The other one that I like, if you were to, there are two choices on this one, is I would look at the VA composites. VA composites with the sleigh is for the average, again, what would be termed the average golfer, and with a little smoother swing, and that would get them out there. If you like a little bit more feel in your hands, I would look at the Nemesis. The Nemesis has a counterbalance feel, and it sets right here, gets you a little bit more into the ball, maybe create a little bit more swing speed. So plenty of choices like that to choose from. Beautiful day in northeast Missouri. Well, I tell you what, in southern Ohio, everything is green. It got to 77. I don't know how much better that can be. And I'm sitting indoors talking golf with you guys. And that's okay, because it's the end of the day, and we should be. So that's working on that. I'm also working on, I told you guys last week, if you remember, I got my projector going now. And I've had two good weeks, one really good week of playing with it. And I think it makes a difference. I really do. When we look this way, let's see if it looks good to you. So when you look down into there, you get to see the where it's projecting, and it gets a little darker, right? It gets a little darker, and I think it gives the golfer something to aim at, which is really what my intention was, something to aim at. And I think it's been working out pretty good. I like the net. What happens is it's pulling in, it's getting little wrinkles across the sides, and I'm trying to figure out how to pull those down. So if any one of you guys out there is a net specialty guy and knows how to take out wrinkles, I'd like to hear it. Cameron, 94 with new irons and loving them. Good. Going to Florida in July and planning on golfing Jacksonville, Orlando. What courses would you recommend? Dude, there is a plethora of golf courses to play. If you want to play some really, really nice, what I would call high end, I would look at TPC Sawgrass. Yes, it's where they play the tournament, TPC Sawgrass. And if it's a little bit much, the brother golf course there is the Pete Dye, well, they call it the Pete Dye course, and play that one. I got to play that one. It is extraordinarily nice, and I would play it again in a heartbeat. That's how good it was. If you're up in that neck of the woods in between Jacksonville and there, you get into next to well, it's very close, just a little bit north and west of where the Golf Hall of Fame is, and you get the Slammer and the Squire and the King and the Bear. Those are two other good ones that are, and it's particularly in that time frame you're talking about, be very, very warm, very, very tight, and it'll be greens will be rolling really, really good. But those are the three I would recommend right off the top. We got your 6 foot, nice, 34 wrist measurement. The shaft length for us. What is the shaft length for a 7? I asked because my old club's standard. My old club's is ½ inch shorter than my new Ben Hogan standard set. Well, 34 inch is pretty long, bud. Or 30 is a pretty long arm for wrist height, and a ½ inch short. Sorry, a ½ inch short might not be a bad idea. So what I would do is I would go play around and choke down a half. Take a piece of let's see, I had some here. Take a piece of electrical tape that's going to be an inch long, and just make it so that you can see, just take that ½ inch, and normally they come in an inch width. Take it in half, run it across, and pack it down, and then that way you have a reminder, and it doesn't look awful, and it will come off easy. And then go around and play and see if that's not what you need. Okay. Jerry Smiley, what's up? Tee time tomorrow, 12:27. Nice, you the man. Rodney, what's up? What golf simulator do you use? Did it compare to others? Why did you choose the one you did? Well, now, Rodney, what I've got is, it's not a system per se. I've had a golf net for forever. Since day one, I've had this golf net. It's a 10 by 10 by 10 cube with an opening in the front. And that was ordered to get errant shots. And there have been some, okay? To the point, in the 20 years I've been doing this, I've had this many, I think, totally missed the net. One actually, when I was out on a storefront area where I had big windows, he actually hit the window. Didn't bust it, but hit the window. The other ones have been here, and I've got dings on the wall to prove it. And so I've had that forever. And I've had different sets of netting where we're at the impact area, from baffles to archery netting to what I've got now. Just here in the last and I've always used a launch monitor of some variety. In the last 15 years, probably Flight Scope. And because it does what I ask it to do, it's a very good price. The people there are very nice, and they help us out. and they're not very. The only thing I'd say is they're not very internet. If you see it on the internet, it's not very exciting, so to speak. It gives you all the information you ever wanted, and it's great. The funny part is the flight scope. What I've got is a full-on launch monitor. The flight scope Mevo, or the Mevo Plus actually, the Mevo Plus is much more exciting. It comes with golf holes and courses and stuff, all packed into a thing. It can't be that big, and it's really kind of neat. And it gives you just enough of what you need. Well, I had all this. The only thing I was missing was a projector. So I went onto YouTube, and there's a fella. If you put in golf simulators, there's a fella from I believe his name is Dave, and he's from Michigan, and extraordinarily helpful. So if you guys are ever looking at golf simulators, go to just look up golf simulators, and I believe it's called Golf Simulator Reviews. And it's a young man, and he does a very, very good job of comparisons and telling you what's going on and whatnot. But I would recommend that. So it was based on necessity, basically. I told him my dimensions, what I had, and what I was looking for, and my price range. Now, I will tell you this: projectors are probably going to be the number one cost, and you can go anywhere from, I don't know, $1,000, and you can go anywhere as high as around $25,000. So you got to do your research on it, and it's all about how much lighting is in the room, how much backlighting is in the room, how big do you want it to be, where you're going to broadcast it from, either the floor or the ceiling, right? In order not to have that shadow, and there's a lot that goes in with the picking. The other part is what is it that you want to do as far as the simulator goes? Do you want it to be more computer intense, which is what mine is, or more player friendly oriented, like when you go out to a golf simulator and you hit a few buttons to move it on? And those are the ones. Now, if I had my druthers, there's the one that's come out that's impressing a lot of people. If you're looking for a system, is that Unicore. It's from Korea, I think. I would look at Unicore. It's not very expensive, and what you get is a huge bang for your buck. There you go. There you go, Carlos. This is what he's talking about, removing the grip, made a rod, and there you go. So he's one of the guys that can get her done that way. Yep, and we talked about that one. Ronald, anytime, sir. That matched the forged irons. Oh, there you go, Ben Hogan. Is that the ones I saw that one? They were kind of a recreation of the equalizer wedges. They turned out to be pretty good. I like the look of the equalizer wedge. You just got to hope that now the original equalizer wedge was a knife edge. So if you're even the slightest bit of a divot taker, get ready, because it's going to be the size of Rhode Island. However, I haven't seen the new ones. If the new ones have a little more rounded sole, a little more forgiving, they'd probably be way, way better. Oh, missed again. How accurate are the online swing weight calculators? How precise do your measurements need to be to gain value from them? I think they're pretty close. They're not. I don't think any swing weight calculator is going to be exact because of just the way that they work. However, you'll get really, 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 really close, and that's really what you're looking for, right? Is to be very, 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 very close. And if you're very close, then you're within a couple, and that's really what you want. And however, it does give forgiveness. And that is what. There we go. So I would I would take it for what it is. If you have a gram scale and it measures just to the whole number, if it measures in tenths or 100ths, you want to round up or down appropriately. If it gets above 5, then round up, and then you'll be really, really close. There's my man from Sweden. Hopefully it's starting to thaw out up there. Dave, what do you say, sir, from Michigan? Yes, I did, Charles, and thank you so very much. Got my iron short today, 1/2 inch. Now I'm waiting on my Lampkin Crossline oversized grips. Also ordered ProForce the X-Stiff 80. Put in my driver. There you go, man. I just want to see a video of your swing. I just bet it just looks like Zorro with a golf club. Are there any tour players that use 80 to 85 gram shafts? I'm sure there are. I don't know for exact sure who they are, but I would venture a real guess that the bigger, stronger guys, like I don't know for certain, but maybe John Rahm. The guys that are very aggressive in their swing, much like you, those are the guys that I would assume that would do that. Those are the guys. Ray Farrell, SoCal high in the 60s. Had to find a sweater. Yes, I bet you did. Your 60 is a little different than mine, man. Hot today at the Space Coast. Was it good about 80 or 90? We're supposed to get to 80 tomorrow for us here. Everybody's wondering, oh my God, what are we going to do? We went from, just was it 5 days ago we had snow on the ground. So we're going to go from snow on the ground to 80 degrees. Welcome to Ohio. Matt Jones, if you had the Callaway Rogue, would you upgrade your driver to the new Callaway? Absolutely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, Matt. The funny part is the Rogue driver is the one I skipped. They had the Epics and all these other ones, and I've had every one in that line except that one. And I could not hit the Rogue. Now, I have the Maverick and I have the Epic, the new Epic. And I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is actually an improvement from the Maverick to the Epic. Okay? It works. It works for me. I golfed. I shot an 83 yesterday. 83 yesterday with three putts. And most I had every one of the drives was pretty good save one, and I snap took that thing clean off the planet, which is not my normal shot, so I must be doing something right. I just like the way it looks, the way it sounds, the way it rolls for me. So, and that's me. But now there's a fella out here I fit into a Rogue. I couldn't pry it out of his hands. He hits the thing so well. But if you're just going for Callaway, I think from the Rogue, if it was the Maverick, I would be wary. I would have to say you'd have to go test it to go for a decent improvement, right? But from the Rogue, there's no doubt in my mind. Have you ever tasted monkey shoulder? It's a blend with some Fittick. I actually looked at a video for this the Glen. It's it's spelled Glenfiddich, but they say Glenfiddich, and I should have known that. So now I know. But I have seen monkey shoulder, and no, I have not tried it. But it's I am told the people that have tried it really enjoyed it. What we got here? The Mobile Club Maker did a YouTube comparing 3 sway calculator methods. Well, there you go. Well, look at that. I got all the way down to the bottom, and it's only 10 after 6. That's never happened. I need to get a little bit more long-winded, apparently. Let's get down to the bottom. Well, okay. So what do you have coming? what we have coming, and there's quite a bit coming down the pike. The new Acura, you see the FX3, I've talked about them before. I do have them in the shop and they're ready to go. However, the connectors that I'm using, I'm getting ready to switch. And when we get ready to switch, I'm going to do a video on it because they've asked me to, and they've given me a handful of these connectors to do a video for them. So I'm kind of obligated now. So when they show up, it'll be all right. So it'll be something that looks a little more like that, just that in there, versus this thing that goes on the outside. Now the thing that goes on the outside served me well. They've done very, very well. The other part that I'm looking at is what goes into the driver shafts, and they have these uni-fit connectors, which are really nice. However, if you have a shaft or a golf club in your lineup that doesn't take it, then they don't marry up, and which requires you to carry two of everything. So I'm going to have to evaluate that going forward. We're bringing on nipping, and I've got those shafts waiting for these connectors, and we have to order another set of heads to go with these connectors as well, so that's always a good thing. And then you'll see a video on how that works. So for you club guys out there, this will be a really cool instructional video because there'll be two of them. For you guys that like changing out shafts, this might be an opportunity because it goes from head to head to head. So you can, with this system, you can go from like a Mizuno head to a Callaway head. And all you need is the little adapter piece, and that way you don't have to change too much. So that's pretty good. So there's a lot of that coming. And I'm going to be doing another review of the Wilson D9 driver. I haven't been able to do that yet, other than take a look at it, and it looks very, very neat. So we're going to do some of that as well. Alrighty. We got some extras in here. Hi guys, from the only place in North America that's illegal to golf. Oh no. No. Can you actually leave and go somewhere else to go golf? I hope so. It just seems kind of cantankerous now. All right, Jim, what do you find is a typical wedge fitting? Heavier shaft with a bit softer flex. Oh, I like that question. Okay, wedge fittings. So let's start from the beginning. In fittings of every shape, size, and variety, my favorite thing to find first is length. Length of a club is equal to the consistency. All right. So once we find the length of the club, now we're going to start talking about wedges, because wedges have a high loft. The lie angle is paramount to get right, because the directional control right to left is going to be impacted huge number if you don't get it right. You can be right or left easily in degrees, even from a short shot. And it's one of two reasons. One, it can be offset, and two, it's when you impact the turf, it can cause this from happening as well. So it's twofold. Then the next thing I look at is we look at your playing conditions and how you play. And that will help us determine the sole grind. And the grind goes in hand with the lie angle, so that if you're in one of the things to consider, a lot of people don't, I'll use this as an example. If you play in a hilly course, or a course that has a lot of moguls on it, that you're going to have some shots that are going to be like this, or you might even have some shots that are going to be like that. And you might look at wedges that have a heel and toe relief in them so they don't get snagged. That's always a possibility. Now, as far as shafts go, what I like looking at in shafts is that I like them to be slightly heavier than the irons. I don't like them being a lot heavier than the irons, but slightly heavier, so in that 15 gram range maybe. So if you're in a 90 to 95 gram, a 105 to 115 is where I'm looking. And then from there, it's how you attack. Are you really taking some dirt, or you got a downward angle, or do you not? And that will help me pick with the shafts. Now, Sonny, what you might be alluding to is maybe we're talking about in the day you could make some spinners. And yeah, I like the spinner shaft. And you can make it with just about any shaft now. But there are so many good wedge shafts out there that I'm kind of just staying in weight categories and using those. Between the Modus wedge, the KBS high revs, you know, and even, they all have one, and they're all really quite nice. Now, if you're looking to go even more custom, yeah, I'd look at, you know, get the 8-iron, trim it down, and get a little bit more snap into the ball, get that little bit of extra whip. But in a lot of these cases, I'm getting more into the conclusion that, you know, you know, when you use this wedge shaft, and again, this is the last bit of it is, for instance, if it's a sand wedge or a lob wedge, those are finesse shot clubs. And finesse shot clubs don't necessarily need all of that, and you can use that. Now, if you're going to be a full swing club, then exactly where you're at, bud. But that's where we're at. I don't have the first idea on a Kirkland wedge. I've not seen it, but you know, they do a pretty good job of getting you some low-cost stuff. Yes, Charles, I would, you know, a little bit digging into the heel. The other part is that in a lot of cases, if you have been fit and just now started doing it, chances are you're bending over too much. But yeah, I would look at flattening it as well. Is a putter rating on my radar? Well, I'm doing a lot of putter fittings here as of late, and we've gone through a tremendous amount. And I used to have just this whole long wall full of putters, and now I'm down to about 12. And we're just going through them at a good clip. I will tell you that there's a surprise in the grouping that I really, really like. If you guys are looking for a mallet that's somewhere in between the really big and the really small, is the Odyssey Model 5. It only comes in right-handed, unfortunately, but I just like the look, I like the shape, I like the way that it putts. Even being a lefty putting, it putts really, really well. I think it's a underserved model. Nice. 38-mile-an-hour wind shot in 81. I bet you were playing the 4-club wind. Well done. Played a scramble with a group of guys that I head to Maine with in June for a week's of golf vacation. The team I finished 4th with a clean scorecard at -4. Charles, well done. Well done at all. Being up in the Northeast, do you guys get up to Nova Scotia at all? I'm told that there's a couple of really nice golf courses up there. And I would really, really like to, one day I'd like to get up there and try them out because they've been really, really nice. And there's Mike from Buffalo. Any scores to report of late? Let's see how you did. All right. Well, guys, now we made it to basically 20 after. All right. Oh, Dave. Here we go. If you butt trim a counterbalance shaft to 44 inches and make it install a length of 45, does the butt trimming move the counterbalance ending? Yeah, ever so slightly, but not like it's a tremendous amount. So what I would think's oh, nice. I'm reading another one. Sonny V, we're going to have to give you a salute, man. So Dave, when you get a shaft and it's this long, and the way that they counterbalance is by moving the balance point, right? They're moving the balance point back towards the hand so they can call it counterbalanced. Now, if you're just putting it in there and you cut it down, the balance point will still be high, but you probably won't have as much in the hand because you've taken some off, right? That just goes without saying. Is it a tremendous amount? It's nothing more than what you're seeing in swing weighting. It would normally be lighter anyway, so it's going to be lighter still. Sonny V, thanks, sir. I forgot to mention today was a retirement day from the artillery. Sonny V, turned in my ID card this morning, 1981 to 1921. Time to play some golf. Sir, well done. Well done. And even though you're up north, thank you for the service. I will tell you straight out. Anybody that goes there for 20 years and does anything in the military, you've got my respect. Even if it is the Army, but you still have my respect. And congratulations, sir. I hopefully that you can enjoy the rest of the time. 1981, that's when I graduated high school. So good for you. Good for you. Well done. Glad to see it. Tim Stevens said, say thanks for all the lessons. No problem, bud. I found some used wedges at a thrift store. One had a loose ferrule, some 5-minute epoxy, bunch of sanding. You'd be proud of my fix. Nicely done, partner. Nicely done. That's what we got. That's how you do it. I mean, that's what I did. Is I went up to Golf Works. They had at the time that they had every Thursday they had this. They opened up what they called the barn, and the barn had all this leftover stuff. And I would go in there and wrestle old guys for some parts in order to make golf clubs, just for the sake of doing it. So yeah, that was it. We had a plan. Actually, it was supposed to be me, Mrs. McGolf, and McGolf Sr., and we were going to go up there, and then I was going to meet the sisters, and COVID hit. I mean, that was when we were planning on going up there. So we're going to have to plan a different trip another day. Syracuse, you're getting your first round in tomorrow, eh, Robin? The man, it must be cold up there. But you guys, Syracuse, get lake effect? That'd be something. Dave, you're more than welcome anytime, sir. I still have that card, man. I still got the card. Nicely done, buddy. Nicely done. Well, you see, Charles, he started off half decent, yes. And then somewhere along the lines, we lost him. Very good. I actually had I won't call him a young man, but he was in the military from up there. He's just over the border, and he came down for a fitting. And we had some philosophical discussions on military and who does what and where, and it was a really neat discussion. You'd be surprised. Uh-oh, they do get a lot, huh? I can remember I was up there in Illinois, and man, oh man, it was awful, that lake effect. 20 years there, buddy. Way to go. Way to go. All righty. Let's do this. Get rid of that. How about that? Okay. Brian. Hey, Brian. One more day and out of quarantine in Alberta. Going golfing with my buddies on Wednesday. Spent my time resurrecting the CB501s. Buddy, I tell you what, you find the middle of that face, you are a ball striker. Redid all the specs on my Cobra F8 irons. There we go. There we go. I bet those are two significantly different irons, man. Well done. Okay. Oh, guys. Look at that. We're seeing military happening. We're seeing the weather change. So what are you guys' goals for the year? What's the goals for the year? Are we looking to break a score? Are we looking to be able to walk 18? Are we looking to stop the number of 3 putts, or work on a fade or a draw, or strengthen up a part of the game? What are we looking to do? I mean, let me know. That's going to be that's something we'll probably carry over. All right. But that's something to work on. We'll talk about that one on Monday. We'll talk about that one on Monday on goals, and we'll start it from there. The other part is guys, remember that we've got the video that's coming out tomorrow, right? Got the video coming out tomorrow, and for those of you that are, for those who want to either keep the stains off of your barbecuing or club working, we've got the McGolf ones, the McGolf aprons, and we also have the tour towels, which do work very, very well. So that's where we're going to go. I believe we are going to set McGolf history, and we're actually going to take off 5 minutes early from this one, guys and gals. And hopefully we'll see you guys again next Monday when, well, hopefully we're up. If you're not here, hopefully you're playing golf. And that's what we would like to see. And as always, guys, let's see your scores go low.